Hi everybody, my name is Barry Schwartz and this is the Search Buzz Video Recap. Today is Friday, November 8th, and this is the search news from SERoundtable.com over the past week. First up, Bing unleashed some massive new penalties. Google had a possible Google local ranking update. Google also announced some news around Google Health Search, and Google released their speed reports in Google Search Console, plus a lot more, so stay tuned. So before I get started, this is the summary of what happened over the past month. It's the November Google Webmaster report, which covers over the most important things that happened over the past month at Google. Obviously, it was the BERT launch. There was stuff around the speed reports and SiteKit being integrated into WordPress, new snippet controls, Flash Google stopping to index Flash. A lot more around BERT and content accuracy. Google had some indexing bugs as well. And so forth. So definitely take a look at that if you're missing what has happened over the past week. Also, this week was a pretty busy week. I'm exhausted. I'm sorry. Really, really tired. So hopefully the energy level on this video won't be horrible. I'm going to do my best. But I was at the Google Webmaster conference on Monday, flew back Tuesday. So you can definitely take a look at the Google Webmaster conference, which I'll link to below. I made a video of that. And in there, I'm going to have interviews in the coming weeks, because I was able to convince Danny Sullivan to do his first ever interview with anybody since joining Google. And also, I was able to sit down with John Mueller and interview John in a way that nobody has ever interviewed John before. So you're not going to want to miss those two interviews. I believe Danny Sullivan's interview is going to be coming out on Monday and Wednesday. It's going to be a two-part series. And then I guess John Mueller, I'm expediting all of them. Usually I have a whole list. But I'm expediting Danny Sullivan's and John Mueller's to be pushing that up, so you catch that earlier than later. So again, I'm sorry for being tired, but let's move on. Also, yesterday I was at this J-Tank, a Jewish Shark Tank, which I'll also post a video about that, which is pretty fun. It's been a lot of traveling, not sleeping this week, so all for good things, which is good. Anyway, Bing's penalties. As you can see here, Bing has introduced new inorganic site structure penalties. And they basically target things around inorganic site structures such as PBNs, which are private blog networks links, where you actually use these networks of blogs to actually get links to your website. Other link networks, as said, doorway pages, duplicate content, subdomain, subfolder leasing, and spammy web hosts and hack sites. Frederick from the Bing search quality team basically announced it over here. You can see a snippet of it, and it's based on the feedback that they received from SEOs, he said, partially. The policy, he said, is effective immediately for manual reviews. So Bing also does manual reviews. They have a manual teams. But the algorithms targeting these behaviors roll out progressively over time. So we're not sure when these penalties will actually start rolling out, and I go through them in detail below. So definitely take a look at them if you're nervous about your Bing rankings being impacted by these penalties. So we discussed earlier that Google did a local search ranking update, or we believe they did a local search ranking update. There is definitely some chatter around that. Definitely take a look at numerous signals around that. There's multiple tweets. Austin was the first to kind of notify me of this update, but I definitely saw some chatter, smaller chatter in the forums around that. And here's the local search forums, which actually there's a lot more chatter around this update now. So definitely go to local search forums if you're concerned and join that conversation there. And you can see the local ranking flux tool from Bright Local is showing some significant changes to the local packs. Even today, it seems to be a bit off the scales, and it's usually green. It's been green for months and months, and for it to turn like, I guess, this orangish red, where it's at like a level of 3 to 4, almost 5, that means there's definitely some ranking change-ups. And not only that, people are actually saying my rankings in Google Local have changed. It was a very interesting presentation given by the head of Google's health department, Google Health's, I guess, CEO. His name is David Feinberg, and you can watch the video over here. But basically, he talks about how Google Health is going to be a place where doctors or medical professionals can go in, search for anything like a normal searcher, and find information that they need to help them with anything. He even goes into how a lot of surgeons use YouTube before they actually do the surgery to get a reminder of how to do a certain procedure or something like that, which kind of blows your mind. It's 15 minutes. I definitely recommend you watch this because it kind of hints at what's going to happen with Google Health Search, which is kind of around the Medic updates or Google Core updates and stuff like that. Although I don't think he means for it to be related to that. So definitely take a look at that. It's worth watching. It was actually only 15 minutes, and it's actually very educational, so I would recommend you watching that. Google has rolled out the Google Search Console speed reports. You should be able to see it just by going to, so if you go over here in the Search Console and then click on the speed report, you'll see it has access to all these speed reports, and actually very, very useful. I drilled down to them previously. I'm not going to go through it right now, but definitely take a look at that because a lot of people are actually complaining that their speeds are actually like slow. Everybody's saying, oh, my speeds are slow. Nothing is reporting as being fast. So I'll get into that probably next week or the week after. We'll see how that goes. Google said there is no ETA around Google providing an API for the speed reports in Google Search Console, although there are APIs for page speed insights. So I'm not sure exactly why you need the APIs, but I guess over time, still, I don't really see a need for it. But there is no ETA for APIs for the Google Search Console speed report. This week, or actually last Friday, I believe, Google has actually rolled out for the Evergreen GoogleBot to be upgraded to the Chrome 78 version. 10 days before GoogleBot got 78, Chrome 78 was rolled out to browsers, to users. So it took about 10 days for GoogleBot to get that. So this is kind of sad. So we cover a lot of conspiracy theories and so forth. One is those things around user behavior metrics and how Google might use dwell time or time on a page, or pogo sticking or clicking on certain areas on the site, scrolling through pages, and what that means. And Google has said for years and years, through Matt Cutz's era to John Mueller, Gary, you name it. Every single Googler I've ever spoken to about this topic has always says, no, we don't use user behavior metrics for search. We just don't use it. And what happens was I actually covered it earlier this week that Google's Martin Splitt said, so basically Martin Splitt said, no, we don't use these types of metrics. And here's the post covering it, where he said over here, we are not using such metrics when he was asked about using it, dwell time, time on a page, UX types of metrics. He says we do not use those metrics. And then you have people responding to that mention saying, that was the wrong question. Look at the answer. He said they don't use those metrics, not that they don't use UX, which is an implication, confirms that they do use UX. So Martin's like, and this is why I'll not say anything about this anymore. No matter how I say no, people think that it's a clever way to confirm their theories. And then he goes on to say, every single time I answer this question, something similar happened. I'm just done with it. From here on, I will flat out won't answer anything around rankings. I'd rather write docs on crawling, rendering, indexing, or something similar than deal with this kind of fallout. Basically saying, stop doing this, SEOs. We don't use UX. We don't use behavioral signals. He's a good person, Martin. They're all good people at Google. Just believe us. Basically what he's saying, but SEOs won't believe. They don't want to. So John Mueller said, if your Robots.txt file or your XML sitemap is ranking for normal searches, normal queries, not a site command, but normal queries, then we got some major issues. He said, right over here, if your Robots.txt or sitemap file is ranking for normal queries, that's usually a sign that your site is really bad off and should be improved instead. Then he goes into more things around this type of concept about how to disallow. Again, that's kind of masking the problem about making sure Google doesn't index or doesn't show them in the search results. That's kind of masking the problem. But if you do see that, that's a major issue. I've seen it here and there for some examples of sites complaining about stuff, but I haven't seen it much. So John Mueller also said that you should not use the robots.txt file to block indexing of URLs or parameters. So if you have in your URL structure question mark and tracking parameters and all this other stuff, or filters and so forth around your e-commerce sites or whatever site you might have with different tracking parameters, do not block those parameters from Google to index them, because if you block them from indexing, Google's not going to be able to kind of canonicalize all the URLs into one, and you'll lose any signals pointing to any of the parameter URLs and so forth. So don't do that. He said it here, do not do that, and you should not do that. Just some normal SEO advice. John Mueller said it again. 2 wrongs don't make it right. If your competitors are breaking the Google guidelines, you should not go ahead and say, oh, my competitor is doing it, I should do it too, because you don't want to get hit one day just because your competitor is doing it. Your competitor might be ranking for other reasons and might be ranking just well because they have other factors that are making them rank well, whereas the things they're breaking those guidelines on are lowering their rankings on some level. But at the same time, again, don't go ahead and do bad things just because your competitors are doing it.
Two wrongs do not make it right.
Google said that their production parser uses a different port than the Search Console parser. This is something Gary got into. We went into pretty good detail about it, showing that he really, really understands what this is about. And he said, skip that. In short, the OS, which means the open source parser, which is the production parser, it uses a different, Search Console uses a Java port that is disconnected from production. So that's why you might get slightly different information from both. Google is testing an image carousel in the local pack. Let me quickly show you what this looks like. So it shows you an image carousel, which you can actually scroll through, which is very weird. I wasn't able to replicate this myself, but it was very, very weird to see and interesting as well. Google My Business has officially limited the number of service areas a business could have in Google My Business listings for a single business to 20 service areas. So if you need more, there's ways to just expand your service areas by using higher level service areas. Google Ads Editor version 1.2 added new features, including campaign types and cross-account features, plus a lot more. I posted a whole list of those features here. I can't go through it all because it'll just take too long. Google Merchant Center got multi-feed support, and they did a redesign. So if you have, let's say, a German feed and you want that to work in multiple countries because in multiple countries speak German, you can actually submit that one German feed and say it supports Germany and Austria and different countries as well. So that's pretty cool. They also improved some workflows within the Google Merchant Center. Google said we will not use Fitbit data in our search ads, and unlikely in a million years that Google would use that for organic search. John Mueller said, on the one hand, I love to encourage people to be more active when it's just a matter of getting up and doing something. On the other hand, there are many who legitimately cannot, and for many reasons, we should take care to be as inclusive as possible. Thus, we will not be using this for ads, or in John's sense, it doesn't make sense to use it for search rankings, which again, doesn't really make sense why they would use it for search rankings.
Whatever.
This week's vlog was of Asia Frost from HubSpot. Really good vlog. I definitely recommend you take a look at it. I'll try to include it at the end as well. Really good on topic cluster frameworks and how to structure your content. And I posted basically what I thought were the best tweets around the Google Webmaster Conference Product Summit. I believe that's what it's called, which I was there. It was a really great event. Really happy Google put it together. And I put them all together into one post. There's other blog posts as well out there from other people. But I also made a video of the experience of going there, which I'll include also in the thumbnail afterwards. So definitely check that out. In any event, thanks so much for listening to the Search Buzz video recap. Again, I apologize for my energy level today. Hopefully, I'll see many of you at XMX East next week. If you're watching this and you're going to be there, definitely say hello. And that pretty much recaps the Search Buzz video recap. My name again is Barry Schwartz. Today is Friday, November 8th, and that is the search news we cover over at the Search Engine Roundtable at seroundtable.com. Everyone have a great week, and hope to see you next week. Bye.